TBQ.
Welcome back. I'm Stephen Wener of Whissel Realty, and we are going to continue with our attorney extraordinaire specializing in elder law, estate planning, and probate. And we're going to also dive into the book that you just wrote, basically the California Guide to Growing Old Without Going Broke. So we'll continue with where we left off, and then I would love for people to understand how much your book is going to be able to help them, especially in California with growing old.
You know, the expenses of care are amazing. The average nursing home or skilled nursing facility in California is about $100,000 a year.
Incredible.
That means that for the majority of seniors, if they or their spouse end up in a skilled facility for 2 years or more, their non-real estate assets are gone.
Yeah.
And the equity in their house, that's next. The value of their house, that spends very quickly. And then there's no legacy to be left for the children. There's no strong protection for the spouse that's healthier. You know, the average in a skilled nursing facility is about 3.2 years. And if somebody has been afflicted by Parkinson's or a stroke or Alzheimer's, it is likely to be much longer.
Wow.
$100,000 a year, click, click, click. In-home care, if it needs to be round the clock, can be even more expensive.
So how do we avoid that? What do we do? Plan?
Plan.
How do you plan for that?
Well, I wanted to ask you one question. With the changes in the reverse mortgage rules right now, because you did mention the equity you have in your house, that got reduced massively, right?
So, It did. And the accessibility of reverse mortgages and the reverse mortgages are incredible struggles. You've worked with me on a couple of probates where we've had to race the clock on reverse mortgages after a parent has died to get the property sold.
So and you have like 12 months, right? You have like 12 months from death, something like that?
It depends.
Okay.
They really push the family. They put them into a panic, and they're telling the family 6 months, and we may give you a 90-day and then another 90-day extension. Well, they're entitled to those extensions if the family hasn't transferred the property. And right away, what most attorneys wrongfully do is as soon as someone dies, they're going to transfer the property to the kids, and now it's not a 1-year grace period or a 6-month. It's due right then and there.
Right, because when you change the deed, and I can speak this as a mortgage guy, although I haven't done a lot of reverse mortgages, our company offers them. It does all of a sudden make the note due and payable right now. So if you change investing, for instance, if you and I own a home, Steve, an investment property, and we decide to sell it, we don't have to tell the bank. But the moment the bank finds out that we sold it and we just said, hey, take over our note, that's why they can call it. It's written in almost every note, every deed of trust.
Well, there's the due on sale clauses, but due on sale clauses are ordinarily not triggered by inheritance. The Garden-St. Germain Act protects families against that. It lets them put their houses into trust so long as the right of occupancy is not changed, so long as the parent still has the right of occupancy, or the prior owner has the right of occupancy, they cannot call it due. So what we regularly do in the elder law planning area is we'll create a trust which gives to the parents the right to live there as long as they can and they're able to. It's in the trust. Garden-St. Germain protects it from being called due at that time.
And that's the key to planning, right? Setting down, actually putting a professional plan with somebody like Joel.
Now that type of trust is an irrevocable trust. Now, if that senior needs to go into a care facility, can't be taken care of at home, it allows them to sell the house if they want to, and have the proceeds not counted as an asset for public benefit purposes.
Well, what I really want the listeners to also understand is you spent roughly the past 3 years in this labor of love redoing this book, because once Trump got in, a few things changed. I remember you had to go back and retweak, and you were almost in production. But for our listeners, the book is 700 pages thick. So just that amount of content is telling me that from A to Z, somebody's going to be able to look in there and understand what they need to look for because it's so complex.
Well, it's 700 pages, but it's also written in plain English, easy to follow examples. You know, I went out of my way, and it was not easy for me. I'm a lawyer. Writing simple documents is not my first nature.
Yeah, even an email, right? All my attorney friends, it's like even their email has to like have all this stuff in there. They have to be very careful on everything you guys write.
Yeah.
But in this area of practice, California is unique, and there's a huge amount of misinformation on the web. And clients and their families, I'd meet with them. I'd say, this is what we can do. This is how we can do it. They'd say, wow, that's incredible. Now, where can I read about it? They look for another source of authority. And unfortunately, other than a few nonprofits websites, there really wasn't a go-to source for people to look at. And so I decided I'm going to create this.
So how can people find your book and, of course, also reach out to contact you directly?
They can find my book on Amazon. Mm-hmm. It's available both in paperback and as a Kindle book. Looking under my name, Weissler, Weissler, or just remembering the title, The California Guide to Growing Old Without Going Broke. It came out last week. We attained very quick Amazon bestseller status. I'm very proud of that.
Congratulations.
And they can reach me at my office. My primary office is in Mission Valley, 619-281-1888.
Please repeat that number one more time.
619-281-1888.
Perfect. And Dr. Samantha, if you can also just let the listeners know how they can reach you, and whether it's phone number, website, email, whatever you wish.
So the phone number is 858-764-0565. And that's 858-764-0565.
Perfect. And just from your expertise in law, elder law, probate, and in your expertise, just conditioning and the things that you talk about, what can the two of you, as you've been thinking through what you've heard from each other, where you see cross-collateralization, what you can both see from stigmas, whether is it the woman or is it the man that's supposed to
There's
help?
no supposed to.
Well,
You gotta get rid of that,
see,
right?
There you
and
go.
that's my own conditioning,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And forgive me.
Yeah.
But that's
Well, I think
was
during
so
the
natural.
break, Dr. Samantha, you were talking about conditioning even when it comes to money.
Absolutely.
And you said you had a couple things that we want to make sure we get on the air.
Well, just, one of the things that contributes to how people deal with money and why lottery, winners always lose their money right afterwards is our money conditioning and our money stories. How we see our parents deal with money. How did they argue about money? Was money the, quote, root of all evil in your family? Or did you have to always work super hard to get money? Or is money, rich people, ... something terrible behind that? And so, it's just this idea that we all have, as part of our conditioning, a story around money, and knowing people's money stories. If you're a financer, even if you're in real estate or an attorney dealing with people around money specifically, knowing what their conditioning is and how they see and view and value money is really important.
We see that in caregiving and in planning,
Sure.
where people won't spend the money to get the care they need because they don't know the alternative.
Right.
I think it really comes back to is that we have choices, but we have to be active in making those choices. We have to not look at just what we're conditioned. Well, of course you take care of dad. Of course you take care of mom. We have to look beyond that, and whether it's choosing because there are legal options or just on a personal level, looking at the interpersonal options. There's nothing that's set for what you must do. It's what you decide to do.
Absolutely.
You have to look at your conditioning. You have to look at your values on what is right and wrong for you.
Sure.
And follow through with it.
A quick question I have for you is, because you're sitting in an office where families are generally coming to you to go through an event, who do you find normally, and I'm using the word normally here, makes decisions or speaks about money or decisions? Are you finding that there is either of the sexes that normally
I don't know if we
steps
can
up?
even use normal, right? Like when you start thinking about stuff like that, but just
No, I'm just saying, like, what has he found in
general,
in his career?
There's a lot of difference between different ethnic and cultural groups.
Okay.
And also for where people live, what sort of jobs they have.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of qualification-based influence, which then gets pushed back against for emotion-based decision-making as well. Now, it is not a usual. The ones who can have the time to be involved usually have the biggest input.
Okay, that's a great answer, because again, I'm not with what we've talked about with money stereotypes, and then when people are coming into your office with family issues and have to deal with it, I wasn't sure if either sex was stepping up, but if you're looking at all of those different factors, and then the person that's going to invest the most time has the loudest voice, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a sex thing or a gender thing on that, right? It really is who wants to take care of the parent.
Well, so can I just, so it isn't only just who wants to take care of the parent, it's who is able, right? And so, and often you have in families a lot of conflict. I've had many clients who've been through this, and it's very sad to me when people die how what's left ends up in tatters, and not just the money, but just the relationships. The family just falls apart because they're arguing over money that was left for them to grow.
Money is love for many people when someone's passed away.
Yes.
Correct documents and discussions before someone dies while they're alive, while they're able to act on their own, can prevent that. I tell every one of my clients what we want to avoid is leaving an inheritance of conflict.
Sure. And that and you see, and what I've seen a lot of, and not especially with men, but often what I've seen, even with my own grandfather when he passed away a year ago, he didn't want anybody to know where all the money was, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
There's a treasure map,
right? So
I have some good stories there,
right? So I'm sure you've had that
on
experience
both sides,
too.
probably not.
Absolutely.
Meaning, here's what I mean by both sides: that there's a lot of it, and he doesn't want people to know, or there's not as much as he wanted to leave as his legacy, and he doesn't want people to know. I can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. A male has had a stroke. Nobody knows that he doesn't have the wherewithal.
Yeah.
Well, it's just been an incredible conversation to hear both sides from a conditioning standpoint from Dr. Samantha, and also just hearing about what you go through as an attorney and putting all of these things together. And I think that our society as a whole, in today's environment, we need a lot of help, because a lot of this is starting to surface now. And even my language is conditioned in a certain way where it shouldn't be.
It is. It just is.
Right.
It's not about it shouldn't be.
No, but
it just is.
It shouldn't be, and that's why there's a change, right? That's why there's movement for change.
We want to have different conditioning because we are conditioned.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I really want to thank both of you for being on the air. Of course, Mr. Jason Hall for being an incredible
co-host. You're welcome, sir. It was great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
again,
guys.
Stephen Wener, Whissel Realty, 1170 AM The Answer.
I'm betting you like people, and I'm betting you love freak mode, and I'm betting